What you're looking at here is something that could have changed the world as we know it. I'm talking about Stanley Meyer's water fuel cell. Back in the 80s and 90s, Meyer claimed he'd invented a car that could run on water instead of gas. Can you believe that? The water fuel cell was supposed to split water into hydrogen and oxygen, efficiently enough to use the hydrogen as fuel. The only emissions would be water and oxygen. The potential environmental benefits were huge. Here's Meyer's explanation of his revolutionary water fuel concept.
In order to run this engine off of water, we've also had to learn the ability to adjust the burn rate of hydrogen to co-equal the fossil fuels. We did this by simply now pulling off a portion of the exhaust gas that's coming from the engine, as you see through this tube here, that's going through this electronic regulator that's hooked up to the hydrogen computer. And basically what's happening is that as the ambient air is going into the engine and going through the burning process, it produces the non-combustible gases that retards the speed by which the oxygen atom unites the hydrogen and bring on gas ignition. So by simply using the non-combustible gases coming from the exhaust of the engine, we now modulate and control the speed by which that oxygen unites with the hydrogen, and therefore we are adjusting the burn rate of hydrogen to co-equal that of gasoline or fossil fuels or even diesel fuel. And that gave us the number one retrofit capabilities of retrofitting the water fuel cell technology to an existing engine. And we do this electronically. The unit that you see right here, we call this a gas processor. And basically what we're doing is we're ionizing the ambient air gases that is now going into the process. And this allows us to trigger and use the hydrogen fracturing technology and tapping into a higher energy yield coming from the hydrogen. The unit you see right here, this is referred to as a resonant cavity. Water is now fed into the resonant cavity through this water tank, and as such, we now expose the water to a very high intense pulse voltage field and restrict the amps, and therefore the electrical polarization process now allows us to release the hydrogen economically from water. And by attenuating the voltage field, the amplitude of the voltage field, we now can control the rate of the production of the hydrogen gas on demand. So this is what's referred to as a constant demand generator. We also now extend or allow the voltage amplitude to increase even to a higher level and allow the water atoms to go into an ionization state, which gives us the ability even to produce a higher energy yield by producing more hydrogen gas on demand. So the fuel now coming from the water through the electrical polarization process going into resonance meaning that we're actually tuning into the dielectric properties of water, and allows us to reduce amps down, flow down to a minimum, and allow voltage to take over that disassociates the water molecule on demand. And those fuel gases are now coming through this electronic injector system as you see here. So basically we're now feeding the ionized air from the gas processor. We're now also taking the water fuel gases that are now coming from ordinary water. We are now mixing it with the non-combustible gases and the ambient air gases and regulating those control of the fluid mediums, or for fluid mediums. And as a result, now we can tune in and allow this engine to run off of natural water.
Meyer sounded like an intelligent man. Now, this is where the story takes a wild turn. In 1996, Meyer's claims landed him in an Ohio court. Some investors who'd funded his project sued him. They brought in experts to examine the car and the water fuel cell, and what they found was, well, pretty shocking. The court declared that Meyer's device was essentially a perpetual motion machine, which violates some fundamental laws of thermodynamics. The experts said it was just conventional electrolysis, nothing revolutionary about it. Meyer was found guilty of fraud. But here's where it gets really weird. In 1998, Meyer suddenly died in a restaurant after drinking cranberry juice. His brother claimed Meyer's last words were, "They poisoned me." Now, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but this is pretty wild, right?
Have you heard of any conspiracy theory?
The official cause of death was a cerebral aneurysm, but some people believe he was silenced to suppress his invention. It's a mystery that's fueled debates for years. Was Meyer onto something revolutionary, or was it all an elaborate hoax? The truth? Well, it might be somewhere in between. What are your thoughts on Stanley Meyer's water fuel cell? Do you think it's the breakthrough it was claimed to be, or just another misunderstood invention? I'd love to hear your opinions, so please share them in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.